Barrington and his crew, they climbed Mount Erebus in Antarctica, and with a telescope they saw there is an opening of water in the distance that looked navigable. So they went down Erebus again, they went on the ship and set course to the newly discovered channel or opening through the ice. They approached this opening, which looks like it could become blocked with ice very easily, the way that the waters move from the north and they carry these huge ice masses. So Barrington's theory is that the channel may have been jammed with ice during previous explorations to Antarctica, making it virtually impossible to discover the lands and the oceans beyond. Additionally, explorers in this area were very cautious due to the presence of large icebergs that could destroy a ship and kill all the crew. Now, the crew spliced together all their anchor lines and they entered the channel in the attempt to find the bottom of the channel, but to no avail. So they approached the passageway to the ice wall and tightly navigate for about 25 miles, so about 40 kilometers. The ice wall were infinitely visible on the right and the left side of the passageway, and the ship was sailing deeper and deeper through this channel. Eventually they reach open black sea again, where they see the sun briefly just before it sets, and that leaves them in the cold Antarctic night skies, only illuminated by the Aurora Australis. So you have the Aurora Borealis in what we call the north, and the Aurora Australis, what we call the southern lights. The southern lights allowed them to see the waters, and also the captain had a better view and more sense of navigation. Once in open sea, Barrington decided to circumnavigate this newly discovered area. They set sail east, where they eventually were able to see Mount Erebus again from the other side. Once they crossed the ice barriers, their compass no longer functioned correctly. Each day, the needle progressively slowed down. Eventually, the compass needle was spinning backwards, which is amazing. So they sail through the Black Sea with this spinning backwards compass. Severe weather, very bad weather, lots of snow and ice was punishing the ship and the vessel. So the vessel as it was going along, and the crew never saw this type of weather with so much ice and snow in their lives, even though they were super experienced in the oceans of the known world. Even the captain remarked that he has never seen stormy weather like that before. After about 4 months of sailing through this disgusting bad weather, and they begin to get to warmer areas of the ocean. So the temperature was rising. 2 more months passed as well after this, so 6 months in total since they crossed the channel, and they begin to see driftwood in the water. Again, this becomes more plentiful as they sail, and they see birds close to the vessel, which means that they must be close to some coastline, to some land, even though they were not seeing any land yet. What happened afterwards is that on July 20th, so 1 year after they departed from New York, the lights were able to be seen onto the distance from the ship. As they draw nearer, the lookout confirms that the bright lights seem to be a city powered by electricity on the continent. What continent? That is the question. The captain suggested that that's a city somewhere on the west shores of South America, because, you know, if you go on the globe Earth, you either go to South America from Antarctica, or you go to Australia if you go and have the ice parallel to your vessel. So this was a disappointment initially for the crew and Barrington, because Barrington was trying to escape the old world. So when the captain said, oh, it's a city in South America, he thought that he would not be able to escape through the ice wall. But then they observed from a distance that it is a modern city with lights, but the city was absent of typical noises that you find in American cities or European cities. They were only a few miles from the city and could not hear any sounds whatsoever. So pure silence. But everything was illuminated in the night sky, so they had electricity. In the morning, a strange-looking small watercraft was reaching towards them on the water from the city, and it was approaching the vessel. It was unlike any boat or vessel that the crew has seen before, and it had obviously free energy, so it was working with some kind of fuel that they didn't know. A pilot revealed himself from this small vessel. He was speaking perfect English, but but with a strange accent. My question is if this accent, was it because he was German? I'm just asking. So his first words were, "What vessel is this?" towards the crew. And to which Barrington replies, "The Wanderer of New York." And that's when the officer looked absolutely flabbergasted, amazed, impressed when he found out that the ship was from the USA. Maybe because he was German as well, who knows? So the captain was asking then, "What land is this?" So the captain from the New York, from the vessel of our world. And the reply given by the officer was, "It's the Iron Republic." So the officer went on to explain there was no protocol in place for people that arrive from the USA. So my question is, was there a protocol in place for people who arrive from Germany? Who knows? He was not permitted to answer any questions, but then the instruction went that they had to go back to superior officers to explain the situation. Now everybody was full of astonishment, especially because they recognized that the ship was from America, from the USA. So this officer then said that they must head back to the director of navigation to take the matters into higher hands. They also signed that Barrington was asking the question, how far, or actually where are we located, or what's the name of this country and where it is located? And the officer answered, "The Iron Republic is about as far from the frozen ocean as the USA is." They were calling the frozen ocean what we call Antarctica, or the ice wall. So what the crew found in this place was a city of lights, but with no noises, but lights with electricity that probably was not the one that we use, but we have to pay money for. Horseless transportation vehicles that were silent, which means were electric vehicles with infinite energy and electricity. They were located in an area undiscovered or undisclosed by the governments, by the USA or the European governments of our world, or the scientists or the authorities. That's probably the reason why they created the Antarctic Treaty after the Second World War. And they were friendly, the people who received them, and it was a shock for those people when they learned of their American origin, of the vessel being from the USA. So my question is if this story is actually true or not. But independently, and of course we're just going to have to dig in more deeply with an anti-hypocrite view and totally realistic of the real world, not like others. But the statement that's more surprising is the distance of the location of this republic on the continent. So the officer said the Iron Republic is about as far from the frozen ocean as the USA is, considering the fact that from the USA to the southernmost known point, or allowed to be known point because we are slaves, of Antarctica is approximately 10,400 miles, 10,500 miles, which is in kilometers, it's approximately 17,000 kilometers. So if the distance is double, that means that from the frozen ocean, once you pass the ice wall and you pass that damn frozen weather, that until you reach the warmer lands and, well, the warmer ocean, so from that point onwards to the Iron Republic, it's also 10,400 miles or 17,000 kilometers. So from the USA to the Iron Republic, it would be approximately 21,000 miles or 34,000 kilometers. Do you understand now why it's impossible for us? Not impossible, but how easy it is if they create the Antarctic Treaty and they block us from exploring freely the oceans and from going freely through the frozen ocean, because it is possible physically. It's just the distance is so damn huge. From the frozen ocean, you have to go another 10,000 miles or 17,000 kilometers. Even for an airplane that we use today, that would be impossible to reach, because first of all, we don't have the energy. We do have, but we're not allowed to use free energy. So that's the problem why first of all, we're blocked here as prisoners. But second, even if the whole area would be allowed freely to be explored, what kind of ship do we need and what kind of planes do we need to of course it would be possible to prepare ourselves, definitely, but it would still be difficult to reach that area, especially because of the storms and the weather in the frozen ocean. So that's mighty impressive. But the main thing here is that we don't know if this is true or not, based on the 1902 publication in that magazine, in the Florida magazine. It could just well be a novel created in that time, because people were just so because they only had the press and the newspapers and the books to read. They didn't have any internet or any TV or series. But independently of this, most certainly there are lands beyond the frozen ocean, but we are not allowed to explore. And that sucks, because if it's truly 17,000 kilometers or 10,000 miles from the frozen ocean, once you pass the stormy area and you pass the frozen bit and you get into warmer ocean and water and then lands, imagine that the other humanity is just 17,000 kilometers or 10,000 miles from the limits of the world we live in. And my question is, are they Germans? Are they the elite Germans that won the war? Because the war has not ended, if you didn't know. Officially, the war has not ended. Germany is still at war with the USA. That's something that everybody can know. It's not forbidden. It's public information, just in case you want to explore it. And my question is that the reason why the Antarctic Treaty was lifted in the first place? Because this world, it's still at war with the elite Germans, and the elite Germans, they just said, okay, this is your border, you leave us alone. And that's where they went after the... Maybe that's also the reason why they just... lost the war intentionally, because Germany had this massive technology. It was impossible for them to lose the war in 1945 if you study correctly history. But the war was lost, even though it's still active. It's mighty impressive, mind-blowing, amazing information. But anyway, who knows if it's real or not. What is real is the fact that we are forbidden to freely explore as a human species beyond the frozen ocean. When you forbid something to a human population, that's because you are hiding something. So we'll see each other in the next videos. I'm hoping that this is allowed to be explored, at least in this way, because I'm not doing anything bad, you know. I'm a human being, and I understand that politically speaking and military speaking, I am a prisoner. I do understand that, but at least I can speak about it, right? I mean, come on, you know. I'm not doing any damage to anybody by just speaking, you know. I'm just your friendly neighbor in this corner, just trying to make things easier, simple, short and to the point, without any sugarcoating. Take care, see you next